We're moving through a time right now when so many people are dealing with grief and loss in ways that can't even be expressed publicly or in communion with each other. Loss on a scale we haven't seen in a very long time, collectively at the same time, where so much grieving is happening. And I wanted to find a way to help with that. You can't really ease another person's grief, but to maybe offer in a way for people to know that they're not alone in their grief, even though they feel very alone right now and are not even able to have public celebrations of their loved ones' lives. So this is my offering to help with that grief, to commune with that grief, to help people know that they're not alone. So I'll be reading a series of poems, most of them from my new collection, but one from a previous collection that deal with grief. This first one is called The Alchemy of Loss. What a weight, this human heart. Normally, a mere 10 ounces or so. Today, it is heavy with loss. How is it that the weight of memories increases when we have lost the one the memory holds? Does the gravitational pull on the memories somehow multiply as our loved one breaks free of that same gravity? So that what once was light, a joyful memory, now weighs heavy upon the heart? For it was those same moments in the living of them that made my heart light, which I now feel the full weight of. How does that transformation occur? Joy, transformed so easily to sorrow through the alchemy of loss. The heart must hold the secret that alchemy is a long process, though, for somewhere it knows that one day the gravity will again reverse, as the weight of grief upon my chest lifts, and I can delight once more in moments shared with the same joy in which they were created. The leaden weight of grief transformed into the gold of treasured memories of love. And you may hear in the background that it's a windy day. I guess that's appropriate. Hopefully the wind will help carry some of our grief away with it. This next poem, and the next two actually, were written after the loss of my friend's husband, Bruce, unexpectedly last year in 2019. This first one is called The Tulip. The black cherry is in bloom, and the lilac, oh, the lilac, so sweet I can taste its scent. My friend lost her husband last week. Unexpected and sudden, like that tulip beside the river. One day, as I walked along, the view was just different. The splash of scarlet among the grasses that had caught my eye, suddenly gone. I had expected to watch it go through its whole cycle of life, expected to continue to enjoy its beauty each day, and gradually bear witness to each petal as it faded and fell away, like red snowflakes melting in the spring sun. Instead, a hand reached out when I wasn't looking and picked it, took it to enjoy on their own, but robbed the rest of us of all but the memory of its beauty and grace. This one I also wrote at the time we lost Bruce last year. The Blade of Loss. Loss. Sudden, unexpected, sharp. Tries to cut out the place where you resided, but you are deeply rooted, where even loss's blade can't reach. I turned toward yesterday and wonder what I was doing at the exact moment you left. How can it be that I was feeling joy at that moment? Shouldn't the world have grown silent and reverent? or even raucous. You would have liked that better, I think. At the very least, there should have been a bell tolling in the distance. There will be times ahead when I will wish I had loss's precision with a blade, and could remove my grief with a few swift strokes. It is not to be so simple, though. The duel between grief and I will be ongoing. In the end, I will prevail, my love for you my shield, deflecting the blows. For now, I will allow the pain and the tears to flow through the wound left by loss's first stroke, and wonder if somehow that was its intended purpose. A hit so well landed, a blade so precise. The next one it began with a phrase that woke me in the middle of the night, that just out of the blue, and this poem grew out of that waking. It's called The Stages of Grief. They say there are stages of grief, as if in our grieving we are actors in a play. If only there truly were a script to work from, so that when we reach the end of Act 3, the curtain falls and we exit stage right with our grief left behind upon the boards. Instead, we stumble from one stage to the next, blinded temporarily each time by the glaring spotlights that illuminate each. There are no cheers or standing ovations for our performances as functioning human being, as grieving friend, as heartbroken widow or widower, as inconsolable parent. There is only the absolute silence after the lights have dimmed and the crowds have gone home. The deafening, echoing silence of a voice we won't hear again. A laugh we would trade anything in the world to hear fill the house once more. What does the actor do when done with the stage? How do they leave the play behind? Set aside the words and move on to the next show? I find I remain frozen upon the stage. Lights dimmed, seats empty, words fallen silent, at a loss for anything to say that can heal or revive. I do the only thing left to me. I sit on the edge of the stage, feet dangling, swinging, my feet at least free of the stage. So I let them swing, reveling in the feeling of even a small part of me being free, and ignoring the twinge of guilt that sense of freedom brings. Suddenly, a spotlight springs to life, illuminating a circle of light behind me. There, within a crisp, clear, perfectly formed circle of light, stands my grief. My cry of anguish the moment I heard the news, each tear that I shed, each truth I denied, each shout aimed at the sky and at you, each fear that I wouldn't utter or face, each moment of aching loneliness, each moment of complete confusion about what to do next or how to go on, even each thought of not going on, but also each joyful memory of love and laughter shared, all gathered together in that beam of light. My loss, taken form at the end of an unscripted Act 4. No soliloquy, no accolades, no stellar reviews. Just my grief revealed in the light, revealing also grief has a life of its own. Finally, I leave the stage. The next poem is one I wrote again after the loss of a friend, but that made me think of her loss, made me think of the things that we take for granted everyday things that are important, that we don't see the importance of until something leaves us no choice but to see the importance of that. Some loss makes us see that importance. So this is called everyday things. Picking up this pen to write. Awakening to sunlight and birdsong. The softness of the cat in your lap and the sharpness of the claw in your thigh as she settles in. The warmth of a worn pair of slippers and the comfort of a worn pair of jeans. The happiness that floods you at the sound of a friend's laugh. Cool water on your skin as you dive in. Feeling the gentleness and intimacy of fingers interlaced. The sound the refrigerator door makes when it opens. Inhaling the scent of breakfast cooking on a Saturday morning. The feeling of returning home at the end of a journey. Brushing your teeth. The sound of thunder rolling across the sky. That contentedness, fullness after a good meal. Watching your favorite movie for the 100th time. Taking a deep, lung-filling breath. That endorphin high after exercise. Communing with the trees on a morning walk. Turning on the lights as the day fades. Settling in with a book as the rain falls upon the roof. Sipping a hot drink on a frigid day, or a cold drink on a sweltering day. The laughter of children. The sound of toast popping up when it's ready. Just the right pair of sunglasses for a sunny day. That shade of red that you only see once a year when the maple leaves turn. A hug that continues to hold you long after you part. The silence that accompanies a snowfall. Everyday things. Precious, taken for granted, everyday things that shine like stars in a night sky, distant and unreachable, yet breathtakingly beautiful when seen from the distance of loss. The last one I'd like to read is from a previous collection called Wild Divinity. It was written in honor of a young woman from our community named Kaylee, who lost her life at a young age after having cancer and recovering and then relapsing. She was an inspiration and continues to be an inspiration, but she was a caring, loving, kind, compassionate, open-hearted person, beautiful person, a great loss to our community. And I was engaged in writing time one day after she passed. And I had started writing something, and this voice inside me said, "Turn the page." So I turned the page, and I felt her presence very strongly. And then I felt like I walked with her as she shared this with me. It was a very visual experience as I wrote this. It's called The Ascent, and it's for Kaylee. Come, walk with me a while. The slope here is gentle. The gradient will increase ere long, but for now, walk easily beside me. The trees move gently by. Occasionally there is a break between stands of pines where we can glimpse how far we've come, not bothering to check how far we have yet to go. The ascent requires all our focus, each step a journey of its own. No unnecessary words pass between us. There will be a time, as the grade increases, when I will have to ask you to turn aside so that I may travel on alone, despite your reluctance. We both know I must make the last few steps in solitude, with reverence. Fear not. As I break free at last of the company of even the trees, the view from the peak will be the joyful culmination of the climb. My view is different, yet still I am able to see you from here. The steps we took side by side, seen from here as a golden thread in the tapestry of time, hung gracefully upon the walls of heaven, the great weaver at her loom. In her hand, the thread of my life, not cut short, but trailing out behind her still. So much of the story yet to be told. The slightest of smiles upon her lips, her hands deftly weave my thread into a new portion of the tapestry. This ascension, then, not the end of the story, but simply the beginning of the next ascent. I just want everyone to know you're not alone in your loss. You're not alone in your grieving. So many grieve with you. So many have walked the steps you're walking now. And your grief will look different than mine. But you are not alone. You have much love with you upon your journey.